Hello and welcome to episode 47 of the Making It podcast. Good to be back. Another week of podcasting. I think we're a month till Christmas, Dan. I think is that right? I don't want to mention the C word, but I think
A
we
month
are
and
a month.
2 days, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. How are you feeling in this festive period, Dan?
I'm good. It's currently Sunday night on my end, so I'm coming towards the end of my week. Been an interesting one because there's not been as much football due to the weather. It snowed this week, so the pitches were frozen. My game wasn't on. My coaching with the women's wasn't on. Still did training on Tuesday, but it's interesting because it's been quite nice actually to have a bit of a step away from it, just for 1 week, just to kind of ease the sort of football tension, especially with the heavy result the week before where we lost 7-0. And it's been quite nice to kind of have a bit more time to myself and have a bit more time to kind of think and breathe a little bit more this week, which has been quite nice. And not saying that football is something that doesn't give me that opportunity to, but naturally it puts more on my plate and it puts more stress and pressure and tension because I'm naturally doing something else which I'm passionate about and I want to do right. It gave me the opportunity to have a coffee with my granddad on Wednesday, um, and I asked a lot about his career, and he very enjoyed the conversation, and I could tell about when he was a police officer. Really enjoyed that, and then it just opened up opportunities for me to kind of just put my feet up a little bit more this week, take things a little bit easier, do a bit more uni work. Did the podcast with Yusuf, so go and watch that if you haven't watched that already. And it's been a nice week, and I've been thinking about a few things today. I went to the beach with Aaron, had a little dip in the sea, and now I've got a new week coming tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to it. And it's good because, just like you said, and it's something which has really stuck with me, the idea of reduce to regenerate. This week with the football, naturally, without meaning to, I've reduced, and then next week I can regenerate, and I'm looking forward to it even more now. But how are you, Jamie, over in sunny Australia?
It's sunny. Yeah, it's roasting, to be honest with you. So I'm absolutely dying in my chair at the moment. I'm all good. I'm a little bit tired. It's been a pretty intense weekend. Obviously the new job and stuff. I didn't think that Saturday would be busy, but I got to work and they said, "Oh, you're on the function today," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. Function, 40 people. Like, yeah, that's cool. Who am I working with?" And they're like, "Oh, no, you're on your own." I'm like, "Oh, cool. That's fine." I was like, "Fuck, shit." And one thing I've been thinking about when there's these daunting situations is just say you can do it and worry about how you'll do it later. Now, that sounds like a really stupid thing to say, but I'm not just doing it in something that I don't know anything about. I've done bartending for a while, like a little bit. And obviously now I've been doing it for the last week quite a lot. So I know what to do. It's that mental barricade. And you know what? At the end of the day, half the things that you worry that you can't do, you can definitely do. So I just kind of said to myself, right, let's do it. They're chucking me in the deep end, and I respect it. So let's just get on and do it. And then we had a few drinks after work, as Dan will testify, and a phone call about how I couldn't get into the gym. It was quite funny, but it was a good week. It was a good week, very spontaneous. I bought AC/DC tickets, so we're going tomorrow night. It's Monday currently, so we're going Tuesday, which is going to be awesome. Really looking forward to that because that's a bucket list. I think for anyone pretty much, because AC/DC is one of the founding kind of rock bands that there is, and then I got a tattoo. So yeah, that's pretty much been my week, to be honest. Working AC/DC, a tattoo, and then yesterday as well. I might as well mention I did the Bondi to Coogee Beach walk, which is like just over 6 kilometers, and you're walking from obviously one of the most famous beaches in Australia, in Bondi, to a really beautiful beach in Coogee, and you pass through Bronte, you pass through Tamarama, you pass through various different beaches, but it was just really nice to go out with Deck and put the phone down for a bit, other than when you're taking a couple of photos, and just talk and walk. And I really realised what the experience of being out here is all about. And it is experiences like that. That reminded me of when I was in WA. It reminded me of walking down the beaches out there and seeing those new things.
Wow, that feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah, that was July. That was so long ago. Almost 5 months. It's so crazy. So yeah, I'm realizing that when I'm traveling, I need to be near a beach. Right now, I'm not near a beach, and that is what I'm missing. So we're looking to move out. We're looking to change a few things. To be honest, Dan, that job has been the good catalyst for change and for realizing what my next 6 months are going to look like. My last 6 months are going to look like. So yeah, I'm grateful, really lucky, and just buzzing, to be honest with you, mate, to be able to be living the experience that I'm now living. And I think we finally got that solitude and that happiness that I've been searching for when it comes to traveling.
I wanted to ask you this week, and I'll answer as well.
Hmm.
But what are some current challenges you're facing in your life at the moment?
Well, I would say maybe a bit financial, but that'll end tomorrow, so I'm not really too asked about that. I can
Why,
afford to
payday or?
payday, yeah, payday tomorrow, so I can afford to get the bus to work and maybe a sandwich or something. That's about it. It's pretty poor, but yeah, I would say the financial one's probably not really that deep, to be honest. I would say body perception. I'd really like to get out of this phase of being quite skinny. So I'm working really hard, going to the gym. I'm eating as much food as I can and I can afford. And food that is good for me where I can to try and build up a bit. So I'd say body perception. Um, and maybe just worrying about what I do when I go home. Because I was walking down the beach yesterday and I thought, Jesus Christ, going home is going to be tough. Like,
Why?
going home is going to be tough because I know that exists now. That thing we did, and I'm like, geez, could you imagine living around here? And it's not impossible. I'm one of those people where if I really want to go and do something, I will find a way to do it. I'm walking down that beach and seeing some of the places that were there. I was like, that's a dangerous game because now you're going to make me want to move it. You know. Um, so yeah, I guess it's the perception of myself and also just what I'm going to think and feel when I'm back home, and it's back to something very different for me. How about you, Dan? What are you thinking?
Speaking about perceptions, and I'm laughing because I'm already thinking we may have found the podcast title, but something I think I've been struggling with lately um, is my perceptions on a few things. And often my perceptions on other people, kind of judging other people, understanding other people, maybe sometimes wondering why other people do certain things. And just in general, I think it's like, especially people who we spoke about it before, people who you grow up with, and we're in this real world now. I mean, I still feel like I'm not because I'm at uni. I feel like my real world kind of enters after I've finished my masters, really. But people are choosing to do things with their lives, and we've all got different opinions, different perceptions. Um, and sometimes I find it interesting when I hear about someone close who maybe is doing something for money, or someone's chose something in their life which I never kind of thought they would do, and it doesn't align with who I thought they were. But I mean, that's life. We all have different perceptions. We all have different perspectives. We can all do our own things, and I think it's understanding that other people are on their own journey, and that's okay. Um, but then speaking about that perception, something I was thinking about today, because I've got a couple of friends, and we don't, like you say, we don't speak about money too much on the podcast, but we have done before a little bit when it comes to this topic. I've got a couple of friends who are chasing money and they want money, and that is kind of like that career they want to go into, that typical trading which a couple people are doing from home. And I've always argued with people that I like to pursue my passion because, like my granddad Ron said to me, you're richer than anyone if you can get up and enjoy the job you do. And I strongly, firmly believe that, and I back up what my granddad said there. And I find it interesting, just this world of some people that want money, and something like trading is something which people do to get money. And I've had conversations with my good friend Riley about this, because he is one of those people who does the trading and wants to get money first, and then we'll do stuff to do with like the passions, such as he says, like maybe having like a cafe or something like that. But I still disagree. And I kind of just wanted to get your sort of opinion on it, and just for the listener to ponder on it. It's like we live in a world where you can't deny the fact that we need money. Money is a resource which we need to get by. And we all have these choices about what we do in our life. And I just find it interesting. It's almost like two different people. It's like the person who chooses to do something in their life for the money, and the person who chooses to do something in their life for the passion. Now, I'm on the passion side personally, and I also don't disagree with the people on the money side. We all have our own perceptions and perspectives. What side would you say you're on, and how do you view the other side? Just an interesting thought.
Well, it depends in a lot of things, right? I feel like the money comes first attitude is very much a thing that the modern world has created. We've created a gig economy. We want everything now. In order to have everything we want now, we have to have money now. And the strain and the kind of the mental strain on younger people. And in particular, a lot of the time, young men, to do well and succeed in life is huge. And young men are now finding so many different ways to try and get rich quick. And it's not the answer, I don't think. Like, the get rich quick thing isn't the answer. However, if it makes people happy and people do make money from it, then I'm happy for them. I'm not going to sit here and judge someone else's situation. My personal choices, I don't want to go and do the Forex trading and stuff like that. And half the time anyway, it's all bullshit, right? I hate to be that guy, but if people don't think it's bullshit and know, well, then you're more stupid than I thought you were. But look, shout out to all the people that are giving it a go. Shout out to all the people that are trying, and they're trying to make something of their life, and their intentions are good, because yeah, fuck it, like, that's if that's your passion. But I would just say as well that the money now, passion later thing is a dangerous route to go down, because if it doesn't work out, where's the drive to get out of that position? If I'm doing something I don't love and it fails, do you really think I'm going to spend my energy trying to work it out? I don't love it. I'm not passionate for it. I was motivated by probably the wrong thing. Why would I spend time trying to regenerate that? If it's something that I love and it doesn't work out, I'm going to throw everything at it. I'm going to go for broke and just fucking try and get anything from it. This is the difference between being motivated by something that you're not really truly motivated by, and passion. And also that thing we spoke about with ego, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, is that a lot of the time people who go, yeah, I'm just motivated by money. Like, you're not though, mate. You just can't be asked to go and get a 9 to 5, and you shun people that do have a 9 to 5. There is nothing wrong with someone who goes to work every day and earns their money. What's wrong with that? But they want to go on their phone and they want to say, this is the freedom, this is what life is, this is what you could be doing because I'm making so much money. I'm like, but you're not, and that's my problem. A lot of the time, the people that are doing these things are shunning normal, everyday people that are going to work and doing their thing, and they're saying, you're part of the matrix, or you're part of this.
It's like, very interesting, and I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah.
In fact, you carry on, because I don't want to cut you off. I've just got something I want to add to that as soon as you're finished.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, this is like the toxic. It's kind of like the toxic success conundrum. I'm going to put it that toxic success conundrum, where people feel like they can't they have to be different in their success. Like, they have to be more toxic. They have to be more, I'm motivated by money. This is me, and you're just doing your 9 to 5. You're part of the matrix. It's like, the reality of it, Dan? Everyone just wants to be different, and everyone just wants to be seen, and they'll do anything to do that. And do you know what that is? That's ego. That's what I'm saying.
Very interesting. And I've just been listening to a podcast, Modern Wisdom. This author, his first name's Elaine. I think it's De Botton or something like that, the surname. And he was saying how people who want to be famous, obviously, are people who want to be seen by a lot of people. And it comes from a place of there was something in your childhood when growing up where there was a loss. There was something where, you need that gap filling. You need that sort of reward you never feel like you've had. And he said the ordinary person that's actually an incredible achievement, to simply be happy with being ordinary. Because we live in a world now where everybody wants to, like you say, you got it nailed on the head, be different, have something different about them. It's like, whereas back in the day, you'd have a simple job and that was life. And we all talk about, imagine if we were living back in the day and we had no phones, and everyone talks our life would be great if we could do that. But how do you find life to be great now? And he mentioned something about how with a job, especially like in the industrial world, you'd work at a bakery, you'd make your bread with the flour, you'd be able to sell that bread the exact same day, and you do the same thing the next day. Whereas now, with a lot of the things we do, we don't see the reward very quickly. Often the things we do are a long-term thing. So they're not as
Sorry about that. We had a bit of a technical error. Dora on tour joining the studio, and me and Dan could not stop giggling. So shout out Dora on tour, but next time wait till we're finished recording, mate. So, Dan, you were saying, apologies for that.
So in those days, like the baker, you get that reward very quickly. But now in the modern day, you don't see things that quickly. The reward can be quite long term. You could be working in a corporate company with thousands of other people, and you're not seeing the work you're going to be doing for another 20 years. But the point I'm trying to make is people who want that money quickly, who want the fame, or don't want to be particularly ordinary. I think that's the main point. We're living in a day and age now where we see this fast modern world where we, like you say, we feel like we need to be different. And the people who are just living ordinary lives, I mean, my housemate Luke said the other day he wouldn't want to be famous, like he loves his privacy. And I think we just all have to look at ourselves and really think, what do we want from our lives? I think there's a lot of people who do want to be different, go on the different route, do something, make loads of money and have loads of fame, but realistically, is that really what you want? And I think we should just be asking ourselves that question a lot. What do we really want? And I thought a bit about, our podcasts and the videos we do and the videos I make on my Instagram. And I'm thinking, obviously these sometimes, you get a couple thousand views and you do look at the views and you want some more but why? And I think to myself, I don't do this podcast for fame. I don't do the Instagram for fame. And that's not something I ever chase. Like, I don't want to be famous through that stuff. But that is something people do to be famous. So I had to question myself a little bit. But I do this podcast with you because I want to make an impact on people. I do the videos because I want to make an impact on people. And if I ever got to a position where that was more people, I wouldn't see that as fame. I don't even like that word. I just see it as more people I can make an impact on. And yeah, I think it's just an interesting topic. I think that idea of that money versus passion, but also people who don't want to just live that ordinary life these days. They want to have loads of money and be known to everyone. And it's just an interesting concept. And I was listening to that podcast and it was quite eye-opening. But another current challenge I would say I'm facing is sometimes you do have those doubts of your journey. I think it's quite common. Like, is this thing I'm doing the right thing for me? But I think like what we were just talking about, I think like you said about that driver, I think if you're doing something you really love and you really want to do, then that reason why, like we always talk about, then whenever I have these doubts, it's like I can combat that so quickly because I'm like, no, this is why I do it. And I think if I'm just going to say anything to the listener right now, whether that's what you want to live an ordinary life, so to speak, whatever that is, whatever you want to do in life, or you want to do something which, creates a lot of money or has a lot of fame, whatever you want. And I wouldn't ever judge anyone on what they want to do with their own life. Everyone has their own perceptions, it's their own life. And like we always talk about, and like our episode last week, it's about being open minded. Just make sure what really matters to you and why you do it. So on your journey, whenever you get those doubts, like you say, you can drive yourself to the point where you can fight those things pretty quickly because you know why you're doing it.
Absolutely. I think having a passion and an energy for something is one of the most amazing things ever. I was writing my blog last night, and one rule I have with my writing, Dan, is, and it's not something your English teachers would recommend. So I apologise to Kev. I don't want to, rustle any feathers here. But when I write what I write, the only thing I edit really is spelling mistakes. Everything I wrote at that period of time was authentically what I was thinking. I don't obsess over every word. I don't reread it. I don't put it through AI. I don't do that. When I feel like I've got nothing to say, I stop writing. And last night, probably about quarter to 1 in the morning, I was kind of near enough finished with my blog, and I thought, I've not really got the energy for this now. I haven't got anything else to say. But the thing is about passion is that I know that tomorrow, now, that passion, that energy will come back every time. When you've got a love for something, even if you don't know exactly the job you want to do, there's people that work in HR, there's people that work in recruitment, there's people that work in the corporate area that you mentioned, and I was like, because obviously I work in a bar that serves 99% corporate people. So I get to speak to a lot of these guys about their journeys. And a lot of them had no idea that's what they wanted to do. They're like a sales consultant for a pharmaceutical company, but they started off as a receptionist. Some of them are bankers, but they just started off by working as someone's assistant. What I'm trying to get at is you don't have to know specifically what you need to do in life as a job, as a hobby. You just need to know what you love, and the rest will do itself for you. And I had a really interesting, it was maybe a 10-second conversation, Dan, with a young lad that was on his first work do. It was on Tuesday and there was a function. And he was on his first work do with a banking firm that he's just started working with. And he works with all the older guys, 40, 50-year-old blokes. And they're all taking the mick out of him for being young. And he came to the bar and he kept ordering drinks. And I'm like, honestly, slow down. Do you know what I mean? Like I said to him, I said, just slow down. What's the problem? I think this is the good thing about being a bartender, Dan. Like the sales job, you do get to speak to people and you get to understand their story. And I said, what's wrong? Like, why are you drinking so much? Like, I know I shouldn't really be asking you this, but like, everyone's taking the piss out of me, new job, and I just don't know if I love it that much. And I just kind of said, like, you're 18, you're 18, you're working in a big firm, you're doing really well for yourself, and some people are having a laugh because you're the youngest person. That's not going to last forever. That's just a now thing. And I kind of tried to put it into perspective for him that he doesn't have to have it all kind of right now, like in terms of everything going perfectly. He just has to have it. And that's like passion. What you're doing with that passion, or how that passion's going for you, doesn't have to be perfect right now. All that it matters is that you've got it and you've discovered what for. Because I can guarantee you there is thousands of people just like you, thousands of people just like us, Dan, millions of people, millions, if not billions of people just like us, Dan, that are still discovering exactly what they want to do. But really, all you need to know is what sparks that. What is that passion? What is that thing that gets you up in the morning for that thing? Because I know when I go do football coaching, whenever that opportunity comes up again, and hopefully it is soon, I know why I do it, because I love it. I love it. And you make an impact on younger people. older people, whoever you coach, and that impact makes me proud. And I know that impact makes you proud. When you win a game of football, you don't sit there and go, I did this. You go, I helped this group of young men become this cohesive force to beat the opposition. And I made them believe in themselves. That feels good. And they can apply that to other things in their life. So what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. And I think it's really nice that you wanted to actually speak to that lad and you didn't just serve him just like a lot of bartenders probably would. I mean, I'm thinking of myself when I was working on the bar, I probably would have just kept serving him. Like it's really cool that you questioned it, and I think it's good that he then opened up about how he was feeling and why he drank like that. But I completely agree. I think the passion is the driver, and why you do it because of why you love it is so important. But like you said with that lad on the bar, and it's funny, it seems to be a bit of a phrase you've been saying, but I'm gonna call on to it. It's an ego thing. And his perception obviously is, all these people are taking the mick out of me. Obviously, that makes him feel a certain way. But at the end of the day, what he's doing is actually pretty good. Like to be 18 and be in that firm compared to someone else, maybe at his age, they'd be looking at him and he could potentially be taking the mick out of those people who are in that position. Obviously, you wouldn't recommend that, but it's just so interesting, this ego thing and perceptions of why we do things and what we're doing in our life. And the thing I wanted to bring up, which links to the podcast I was just watching, is God, it's completely gone out of my mind, bro. Give me a second. You have to edit it out. I've lost it.
I don't have to edit this out, bro. I think it's all right that you've
That's
forgot.
it. And you know what? Actually, keep that in, Jamie. Keep that in.
Yeah.
Because what I was going to say is with that young lad at the bar, he's not got it all figured out. He's an 18-year-old and he's looking at these 40, 50-year-old blokes who are taking the mick at him thinking they've got it figured out and they're the ones laughing at me. And with me just then even mucking up, like I'm thinking, oh, I'm looking like I'm mucking up, like just edit out, Jamie. Don't edit out, keep it in. Because in life we're gonna make mistakes. In life we're gonna mess up. In life we're gonna have these moments where we don't have it figured out. And it was interesting because a podcast I was just listening to said, I know less as the days go by, rather than to thinking every day I know more. Because I know I've been in positions where I want to act like I've got it figured out. Me and you could have this podcast and act like we've got it figured out. We know how we're making it. We know what we're doing. But realistically, the idea of making it for us and the reason why that question mark is there is we don't really know. We're just figuring it out each day. Figuring it out today, figuring it out tomorrow. And I think it's so important to kind of humble yourself and drop that ego at times and just understand you don't know a lot. You really don't know a lot. And you don't need to know a lot. I think a lot of people want to have it right, feel like they're doing it right, feel like their way of life is right, their perception on life is right. And that taps into that open-mindedness, understand that you may not be right and understand that the way you're going about life may not be the right way. And also people struggle with that because people go on that investment ladder and they climb up it and they don't want to come back down to go up the other one because they feel like this one ladder's right. But like we say, go back down it and go up the new one because you'd be better in the long run. And it's just something I'm really trying my best to keep doing every day and just be loose like with that. Go into my day wanting to learn, go into my day not thinking I'm an expert, go into my day figuring it out, learning every day because I want to be at my oldest age and still think I don't know it all. And I don't think you ever should think you know it all. And I think we should always be figuring it out and not trying to put off this image that we know everything we're doing and that we're perfect because we're not. And that's why I want you to keep that in because it's kind of made my story and my words help because that's given an example of you don't have it all figured out and that's okay. And take your time with things and give yourself that respect because you can only learn and you can only learn by doing and giving it a go. So give it a go.
Give it a go, absolutely. And with the young lad as well, The reason I wanted to speak to him was because he was being really rude to me. And people that are rude to me on the bar, my view is I don't have to serve them. If you're nasty to me, I'm just not going to serve you. You can go serve someone else. I don't have a duty to serve you if you're rude to me. I have a duty to try and solve the problem, maybe. And with him, I just thought, he's been really, really rude. So I'm just going to ask him, what's up? Why not? I got nothing to lose. No one's there. So that's when I said to him, I was like, what's up with you? You don't seem too good. You know, you seem a bit abrupt. And you're going to get two reactions from that. You're going to get, what do you mean? It's your issue. Or you're going to get someone who's honest. And on that occasion, he was honest. And do you know what? That's why I think that it's good to also take perspective. I shared something to my Instagram story about, a dude that got cut up, when he was driving on the way to work. And most people just beep the horn and go, oh, my God, you're a this and this and this and just swear forever. But he was kind of just like, maybe they're in an emergency. I hope they're all right. These the ways that you look at different situations, I could have just looked at that guy and gone, sorry to swear down, but he's a prick. Why would I want to talk to him? I'm not asked. Just pay your money and get out my face. Or I can kind of be like, what's going on? And I think we should maybe be not quite as quick to judge people, in life.
That's those perceptions.
Yeah, and that's perceptions. And everyone at the end of the day is living life for the first time. Go easy on them. We're all figuring it out.
That's such a great way to see it. That's such a great way to see it.
It's true. It's everyone's first time doing this. So if you're 80, if you're 5, literally everyone's doing it all for the first time. Everyone's just as nervous as you. Some people are better at hiding it. Some people are worse at hiding it. And just like that guy, sometimes all you need to do is just ask, is everything all right? Because all he wanted to do is be heard. And I think that's the same as a lot of people. They just want to be heard. Even if they don't want anything else from it, they just want someone to listen. So I would implore anyone to be that person. Don't pass off judgment on people too quickly. Give them a chance. It's everyone's first time. That's all I've got to say, Dan.
Nah, that's awesome, man. And I think, going back to the word, I think this podcast has been quite interesting because a lot of what we've spoken about is just how you perceive things. And I think that is life. I think life is how we perceive things. One person perceives it in one way, and one person perceives it in another. And it's like, I know you said the other day a woman bumped into you and you were a bit angry, but then you realised that you dropped your gym card on the floor. And your day could be so much better. Exactly, she was going to pick it up. And your whole day could be changed by just how you perceive it, or your whole judgment on a situation from how you perceive it. And it's good to ask yourself those questions and to sometimes doubt yourself, not in a bad way, but doubt yourself in terms of questioning yourself, was that the right way to do it? And then face those doubts and realize, yeah, that was the right way. No, it wasn't. But look, if there's one thing we can say to you guys today is focus on how you're perceiving things and what your perceptions on life are, because they do shape your direction, I feel.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And if someone bumps into you in the gym, maybe they're just trying to pick up your gym card, or maybe they want to fight you. No, I'm joking. But perception is everything. Think about it. Just have a little think. What I want to do with these podcasts and, what we want to do, I think, is just kind of get you thinking. We don't want you to think how we do. You probably won't want to think about how I do. A lot of the time it's probably a bit boring, but just kind of open your mind up to different ways of looking at things, and I'm sure you'll become a more well-rounded person. I just wanted to say as well, it's a bit of a shameless shout out. If you can, please go and look at my blog. It's called I'mBrokeInSydney.blogspot.com. I just started the blog because I wanted to kind of talk about my traveling experience and detail what it's really like to travel for people that maybe want to do it themselves, but also just to give an honest account of what it's like to be here and experience something different. So it's quite similar to the podcast in the fact that it's not an advice page. I'm not going to tell you how to live and show you all the best flights. I'm not asked about doing that. You can do that yourself. All I'm doing is showing my journey, and through that you can learn something maybe. So I'mBrokenSydney.blogspot.com. Give it a look. Blog number 1's out. Blog number 2's coming out for you guys in the UK tomorrow at 10 a.m. And for me at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock? 9 o'clock this evening? 11 o'clock? I don't know.
English time.
9 o'clock this evening for me in Australia. So give it a read if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. But in the meantime, have a fantastic week. Episode 47. Take care of yourselves.
And also be conscious of how you make people feel, because that's how they remember you. Take care, everyone.
Oh, yeah.